Alright, Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. My name is Randy Fouse, affectionately known to some of you as Hanif, and this is the first in a series of classes dealing with Arabic morphology. Now I'm going to take you where we want to go in the end, and then we'll start with today's lesson. Eventually where we want to get is we want to look at the 8 popular or common verb forms that go beyond the 3-letter root. But in order to understand those 8 forms, we need to have a good understanding of the 3-letter root and how it works. Now, if any of you have this wonderful dictionary here, the Hands Word Dictionary, and you've wondered what those Roman numerals mean inside, then this class or this lesson, these lessons will definitely be for you. If you're a studying Arabic student and you just want to increase your vocabulary, then this will also be a lesson for you. We're going to show you how to increase your vocabulary in Arabic exponentially to the 10th, 100th power. Well, not the 100th power, but we're going to increase it, inshallah. So let's kind of start with some beginnings here. The Arabic language is based on verbs. If you haven't figured that out, there's going to be an important principle for you to know and understand, that the Arabic language is based on verbs, and we'll see how that affects language. The basic verb in Arabic, it comes in the past tense, and it consists of 3 letters. We'll give you an example here. We have ketaba. Ketaba is a common 3-letter Arabic past tense verb. You can see it has 3 letters there, the kaf, the ta, and the ba. Ketaba, it would mean or literally translate into he wrote. Now if you look at the top of the screen, you're going to see other words start coming up, and those other words are derivatives of ketaba. So we have katibun, maktubun, mektabun, mektabatun, and kitabatun. Now you'll notice that each of these words, each of these 5 words, it has that root ketaba inside, but certain changes have happened to the word, and those changes that have happened actually affect the meaning of the word. So if you can understand what those changes mean, then you can understand, and you know the word ketaba means he wrote, then you can kind of figure out what the word would mean. Now those changes are pretty consistent. So any other 3-letter verb that you find in any of those forms would also carry a similar meaning for that verb. So you can see where this is going. Yeah? Now for these lessons, what we're going to be looking at are some basic forms for verbs. We want to look at the doer form, one who does the action of the verb, the object form, which is the one who receives the action of the verb, the place or time, which tells us the time or the place when the action of the verb happened, and we want to look at the noun form of the verb. Now, to kind of start off here, when we talk about verbs, the Arabic term for verb is fi'l. Yeah? And fi'l comes, which means action, comes from the 3-letter verb fa'ala. Now, because Arabic words are derived from verbs, and fi'l or fa'ala, fi'l means verb, and fa'ala is the basis for action, or it means he did, then when we talk about changes that happen to any 3-letter verb, we use the letters of the verb fa'ala. So, for example, the fa here is the first letter of the verb fa'ala. Any first letter of the 3-letter verb we will refer to from here on as the fa'ul fi'l. The fa'ul fi'l, the fa of the verb, means the first letter. The second letter of any verb we're going to refer to as what? The ayn of the fi'l, because ayn is the second letter of the verb fa'ala, or the word fi'l. The third letter of any 3-letter verb we're going to refer to as lamul fi'l, because lam is the third letter of the verb fa'ala, or of the word fi'l. So any changes we're going to talk about that happen to a word, we're going to talk about them in relationship to the first letter, or the fa'ul fi'l, the second letter, or the ainul fi'l, or the third letter, or the lamul fi'l. So let's try a couple examples of this. Look at the verb, or look at the word fa'il, which represents the doer form. When we talk about forms in morphology, we call them awzan. The singular of that is wazn. So we would say that fa'il is a wazn. So this is wazn fa'il. In the wazn fa'il, what has happened? What changes have happened to the fa, the ayn, and the lam in relationship to how they were as a verb? Well, the first thing that we notice is that we've added an alif after the fa'ul fi'l, and that alif has helped us to elongate the sound of the fa, so it becomes fa. Then we added a kesra, we changed that fatha to a kesra on the ainul fi'l, so we have fa'i. And then the lam is there, but instead of there being a fatha there, we've put dhammatan. However, those two dhammas there are not pronounced if you stop on the word. So if we were reading the word in a sentence and it was in the middle of the sentence, we might say fa'ilun. But because it's the end of the word, for our purposes, we would just say fa'il. We would just say fa'il. So fa'il is a wazn. The doer of the action of the verb, we would say, is on wazn fa'il. Fi wazn fa'il. The next wazn that we have is wazn maf'ul. Now, maf'ul is the object. If something happens to a verb, or whatever the verb happens to, then that we would say that we would put it in the wazn maf'ul. And we're going to see examples of these if that's not clear. So what are the changes that we make? That's what we want to be familiar with here now. What are the changes that have happened in each of these forms? So the first thing is that we've added a meme with a fatha to the beginning or in front of the fa'ul fi'l. So we have ma. Then on the fa'ul fi'l, we don't have a fatha anymore. We have a sukoon. So it's become maf. On the ainul fi'l, we have a dhamma. We no longer have that kasra. So it's maf'u. Then we've elongated that dhamma sound with a waw. So now we have maf'u. Then we have that same lam with tanween, so it becomes maf'ul. So notice the changes and be able to discuss those changes using the terms fa'ul fi'l, ainul fi'l, and lamul fi'l. Now for the place or time, it looks similar to the object form. So we're going to talk about the changes in relationship to that form. We have that same meme with a fatha. We have the same sukoon on the fa'ul fi'l. But then on the ainul fi'l, we don't have a dhamma. We have a fatha. And we've also dropped that waw. So the object was maf'ul. The place or time will be maf'al. Or it can also be maf'il with a kasra. The last form that we have is the noun form or the gerund form of the verb. And gerunds are where you add ing to a verb and it becomes a noun. This is not going to be consistent for each word. Different words will have different gerund forms. Why have I written this form, fi'ala? I've written this one because this one went with the verb that we looked at first, which was kataba. Kataba on this form would be kitaba. We said kataba means he wrote, so kitaba would be writing. So the important thing that we wanted you to know in this first introductory lesson is that changes happen to verbs, consistent changes, and those changes can affect the meaning. When we talk about the changes that happen to a verb, we use the terms fa'ul fi'l, ainul fi'l, and lamul fi'l. And each consistent set of changes we refer to as a wazn. Thank you for tuning into this first lesson. We hope to provide more lessons for you in the future. Thank you very much.